So there was a supposed leak about Halo 2 and Halo 3 remakes being planned that will include Sprint. And honestly, I do think it's likely. There's plenty of optimism and pessimism to go around, so let's just look at what these remakes could look like, what value there could be in them, and where Halo goes from here. Hello everybody, it's your boy Jmulls, and it looks like we're going to need some
divine intervention.
I get it, this stuff is far out. We don't even have a release date for CE Remake, and 2 and 3 are just from a leak at this point. But I do think it's likely so long as the CE Remake does well enough. Money is money, and if Campaign Evolved does well enough, you might as well tackle the two games that will almost certainly draw more hype and publicity than even Combat Evolved. It just makes sense to me. Now, when it comes down to, do we even need these things, I think it boils more down to what they end up looking like. If they end up something like what they're doing with Combat Evolved, then I could see a ton of potential and value in 2 and 3 remakes. Simply by taking cut levels and reimagining them, potentially reworking the lore of the cut levels and finding a way to integrate them into the game, if not adding a few new scenes to iconic levels and locations. Can you imagine a Gravemind boss fight in something like Halo 2 or in the Cortana mission from Halo 3? Just a small example of the kinds of things I would like to see. They have already shown a willingness to add new missions into a campaign that arguably needs them the least with Combat Evolved. Adding 3 prequel missions with Chief and Johnson, if 2 and 3 get even just that same number, 3 new missions each, that could be so dang cool for each game if they do them right. To see an expanded version of the stories a lot of us have loved for years, that's exciting to me. And then I read the other part of the leak that says with Sprint, and I imagine that also means reticle bloom and a piece of my soul dies. It's easy to be negative and down about Halo. I know I am, and I have 13 years worth of reasons to justify that negativity, but I want Halo to be good again, and I genuinely think fixing the overall state of Halo should be easy. It should be straightforward. Just learn the lessons from the original games. So, what are some easy ways they could just reconfigure Halo 2 and 3 to make a remake fun and exciting?
Dear humanity, we regret being alien bastards.
Let's start with Halo 2. Well, let's reduce the number of sniper jackals and make it so they don't one-shot you on Legendary and don't have the reflexes of Ultra Instinct Goku. That alone would completely change people's opinions about a handful of levels, but let's go even further. What about a level added after Regret, where Chief has to fight the Gravemind before getting tentacled for the rest of the story to flow? If you really want to salivate, look at all the cut content from Halo 2, like the Flood Juggernaut, multiple levels, the E3 campaign demo that never made it to the final game. There's so much potential here, not only to increase enemy diversity, but also fine-tune the weapon sandbox, maybe tweak dual wielding a little bit, so the entire game doesn't feel like a mad sprint to get a BR or a carbine, add potentially new vehicles, whole new levels. I mean, we did get Halo 2 Anniversary, and I think Anniversary is solidly okay. It's not terrible, but I wouldn't call it amazing either. And there's a lot of changes to the art direction of various important scenes that I severely question, particularly just how dang bright they have to make the Covenant Holy City of High Charity, which lessens some of the thematic storytelling that is going on with the visuals of those levels in the original. There's plenty of other scenes like this, but imagine a remake that is able to more properly and accurately adapt that old art direction while giving us cutscenes on par with what Blurb made for Halo 2 Anniversary. It has so much potential that I get excited just thinking about it. Yeah, I know it's easy to heavily doubt that art direction pipe dream with what we have seen from Campaign Evolved so far, but that game is still a ways out from release. They could incorporate player feedback and touch some things up, and then use that to help guide the direction for the other remakes. A man can dream after all. Halo 2 is already a phenomenal game that stands the test of time and holds up incredibly well potential. It honestly doesn't need anything like modernizing gameplay mechanics. It arguably doesn't even need anything. It could use a new coat of paint to recapture the art that was lost with Anniversary, expand on the elements that already exist in Halo 2 and build off of them. If they just try to do Halo 2 but make it a modern Halo and shoehorn a bunch of things that break the flow and feel of Halo 2 just to make it feel like all the other Halo games that I'm sure they're going to be making in this new era for a sense of unity, then I fear they will erode the unique elements that make Halo 2 look, feel, and play like Halo 2. There is a pace to the movement that when doubled with the layouts of each of the locations you go to and that you fight in, it creates a tension that is palpable, and also a specific feel that you potentially take out at the kneecaps if you just mindlessly slap in random crap that doesn't belong, like sprint, because for some reason you got it into your head that modern gamers need sprint despite there being no actual evidence for that. Before I start on that tangent again, let's move to Halo 3 because oh my god, this one has even more potential to be uplifted by a remake than 2.
Were it so easy.
We stepped on sacred ground and icons with Halo 2, and now it's time for hallowed ground for me. Halo 3 is the game that truly got me into Halo. I fell in love with this game back on the 360, and it's not only my favorite Halo game, it's one of my favorite games of all time. However, I can be objective here. I can take the nostalgia goggles off and say the campaign has some really deep flaws to it. It's just what the campaign does right. It does so well that I cannot just forgive it, but praise it as much as I do when it comes to Halo 3. I adore this game, but let's be fair, its first half is rather light on story until the Flood are introduced, and then the pace is rather rapid as it only at that point in the game has a few levels left to wrap up the entire trilogy, because it chose to spend half the game just getting Chief to the Ark. Maybe they could rework some of the Prophet of Truth scenes, so his speeches don't sound so jarring coming from Halo 2. Maybe give him more of a presence instead of just a bunch of holograms. Maybe rework the Cortana visions so you get the story elements that are supposed to come across with them, but don't grind the flow of the game to a screeching halt like they currently do. Even if I don't personally mind that, because I understand what they're going for there. Those visions that Chief are like suffering through are debilitating. I get that. But also, let's be fair here. They can get kind of annoying gameplay-wise. This might sound a bit counter to what I just said. You could even potentially add a few more to help move the plot along, or have Arbiter have a larger presence in the story on the Earth missions because he's just kind of there for player 2 for a good amount of time. Or you could even add a few like Cortana visions and Gravemind visions to Master Chief during cutscenes that happen during the Earth levels. Or like new cutscenes you could add. So instead of breaking the flow of the game, you add them to cutscenes. Not all of them, but just a few. And maybe that could help round out the experience while also injecting more story into that first half. And also, Halo 3 has some absolute bangers for cut content levels. The story would have to be either reworked a bit to get things like Guardian Forest or Forerunner City to work, or you could retool the story in those cut levels in order to actually establish them as part of the overarching plot and incorporate them as actual missions. But like, oh my god, sometimes rule of cool. Remember the map Guardian from the multiplayer? Yeah, remember how that aesthetic was just kind of there and never showed up in the campaign? Well, introducing Guardian Forest. So imagine that forest as a campaign level filled with sentinels and forms of sentinels that we've never seen before. You don't even have to use the original story for Guardian Forest. You can just come up with something to make it work because it just sounds awesome, while also possibly smoothing the flow of that back end. This is what I mean when I say, do these Halo games need remakes? No, absolutely not. But if you're going to do them, have some fun with them, because oh my god, there's so much potential to touch up and add to these campaigns to breathe new life into stories and missions that we've done probably 100 times, if not more. Because all the while, a whole lot of other series get really cool remakes that breathe new life into their franchises. Why can't Halo have the same? All the while introducing a whole new generation to the story that we fell in love with. What it shouldn't be is just Halo 3 or or Halo 2 or Combat Evolved, but this time it's an Unreal Engine. And also we added sprint and reticle bloom and hit markers. That's slop, that's boring, that's not creative. The Johnson missions conceptually that we're getting with Combat Evolved sound awesome. Do that, but focus on that for 2 and 3. Like, I get it. Combat Evolved doesn't really need new missions in its story, but 2 and 3 have potential for new missions to be injected into that flow and really breathe new life into those campaigns. Not that they need it, but it could be really cool. So if we're going to add them, flesh out the stories that we already love with new moments so it feels like going from watching Lord of the Rings to watching Lord of the Rings uncut. That's the feeling the remakes should strive for, because that would just simply be awesome. Like, dude, imagine they just reworked the mission Cortana from Halo 3. Just completely revamp that level. So it, 1, feels like it's actually on High Charity this time instead of feeling more like a regular Covenant ship. 2, give us more gameplay variety, maybe more flood forms, give us a flamethrower that doesn't suck bowling balls through a garden hose. Or just inject that level with something gameplay-wise so it isn't the slog and grind that it currently is. Like, I like the level, but I like it because I love the story of Chief coming back for Cortana and rescuing her, and I like all the aura farming that the Gravemind does. But let's be fair, mechanically it could be way better, because it's just rooms of flood that you can easily walk through, by the way. One after the other, you get stopped for Gravemind visions and Cortana visions a lot, and then you'll leave with Cortana, after destroying like 3 pillars, whoop-de-doo. See, this is what I want to see out of these remakes, because while these games are incredible, amazing, masterpieces of the medium, they aren't perfect. There's ways to touch up on them, smooth out their rough edges, and really have those elements, those mountains, stand even taller than before. I don't want remakes to simply be one for one or anything, but when you make changes, they have to be additive to the overall experience and not just replace that experience with something you deem to be modern. It's one of the reasons I'm still looking forward to Campaign Evolved, despite all my misgivings with what we have seen so far, because they've hinted, if not talked about, doing some stuff like that for the CE remake, like with the library and the final Warthog run. I think 2 and 3 could use even more touches in that style. My underlying point throughout all of this, these remakes aren't bad conceptually. They have a ton of potential to take the games we love and add to them and give us even more to love without compromising the core pace, flow, and gameplay of these games. And instead, they could spice it up, add to it, expand on those elements that made so many people fall in love with this series all those years ago. If they fail to deliver, it won't be because remaking these games is conceptually bad. Their execution would have been. Their decision making about what to prioritize would have been. Because I truly, genuinely believe, especially in this era of remakes, Halo remakes could absolutely stick that landing.
You might be too late.
Halo is likely to enter, in a couple of years, an era of a lot of releases, which we're just kind of not accustomed to over the last 10 years. It's a big new scary era, and who knows where the series goes from here. I think I'm still pessimistic, and I'm still cautious, but I am hopeful they can get their act together and put out some great quality Halo games. So here's where you come in. Leave a comment down below with what you would like to see the most out of Halo as a series. What would you like to see for the next multiplayer game? Are you even a fan of the ideas of doing these remakes to begin with? I would love to hear your thoughts, hear your opinions, and hear your perspectives. And while you're down there, please leave a like and subscribe. It really helps the channel out and helps support future content, and I greatly appreciate it. And I've alluded to my disdain for sprint and other modern mechanics in Halo in this video. And if you want to hear me go off on this subject, talk about why these mechanics exist in Halo, why I dislike them so much, well, you should check out this video right here for more. Stay safe, everybody. Have a great day, and I'll see you all next time. Bye-bye, everybody. Until we meet again!